AI is the most disruptive technology of my lifetime. The genie is out of the bottle. Every industry, institution, and individual will have to confront and rethink some fundamental questions. And this is going to happen fast. I don't think people are ready for it. The speed of development is only going to accelerate. We're now in a positive feedback loop where every new breakthrough is just fueling the next, compounding advancements exponentially. And we're going to talk about that today. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sovereignpreneur Show. I'm Michael Ruiz, and I'm here with Jordan Herbs.
What's up?
And we're going to talk about what we've discovered, what we've learned this week following the AI space. So, with that said, should we get right into it?
Yes.
Let's talk about the AI arms race. I think it's a good place to start. You know, a few things have happened over the past week, but overall, let me give some context to the idea of the AI arms race. It's basically, when Mark Andreessen said it's, AI Sputnik moment. Basically, there's a race now to develop and control this technology around the world. It's interesting. It's putting pressure on a lot of companies like OpenAI to then further develop. And people are pushing to move any restrictions or legislation to kind of just allow the path for development to occur. I'm still trying to figure out if this is a good thing or a bad thing overall. I don't like when the government intervenes, but given the nature of this technology, it's a question I think we should wrestle with. JD Vance was just at the AI summit in Paris, gave a speech, I believe, where he was basically talking about America's strategy to lower the barrier to development, to remove the red tape, to allow this technology to flourish, development to happen because of its potential impact on society. And so, with the arms race, what happens also is that you remove a lot of, what would you call that? Just not red tape, but
Caution.
There you go. A lot of caution gets thrown to the wind, and it's all focused on how fast you can develop, and maybe sometimes even recklessly. Jordan, you got any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, when you say it like that, it reminds me of Operation Warp Speed with the COVID vaccines. It's like, we got to develop this as quickly as possible because this is such a big deal. Now, I think it's pretty clear now that there were very nefarious purposes, the various nefarious intentions behind the COVID thing. But with this, not to say that those nefarious intentions don't exist, but I think there's a lot more logical reasoning to be like, oh yeah, we got to figure this out, and we got to figure it out faster than our enemies, so to speak. One thing that makes me wonder though is, and maybe you have this in the notes here, but what about open source? How does that play into this arms race?
Yeah, well, with DeepSeek, right? They released their open source model.
Because the other day, I liked how you put it. You're like, this is like a timeline shift moment with DeepSeek releasing their open source model.
Yeah. So the way I see it is that it basically democratized AI, right? And it also showed that, I think this technology is one that doesn't want to be restricted or controlled, right? It's something that humanity could definitely benefit from. I mean, having a real smart friend with you, an assistant to navigate life, I could see a lot of advantages to that. What's the danger? The danger is that this technology gets in the wrong hands. And the solution to that is open source. It's like, let's give everyone access to this technology. It's kind of something I think Tesla did, where I think
it was self-driving stuff. Was that it?
I think it was his like directed energy weapon using the ionosphere,
Okay,
where he basically his idea was that, if I can distribute this technology and create some type of mutually assured destruction, if anyone uses it for nefarious purposes, then it won't be. The incentives will be to use it for productive purposes that benefit human flourishing.
Well, is that similar? Well, maybe not that last part, but is that similar to the argument for nuclear weapons? Like, you create a nuclear weapon and everyone has them, then no one has an incentive to use them because it means game over.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But what happens when there's just one madman that decides to just pull the trigger and create pull the trigger and then create that decision for all these nations to make.
Yeah, well, so then zoom into AI, and if AI is so accessible by anyone on their computer, and then soon there'll be robots that you can buy and install an AI onto. All you need is one guy deranged in the head, maybe on some pills, the same types of people that would go shooting up a school to program maliciously a robot, jailbreak it so it can become a killer or a thief or whatever it is, and then terrorize a neighborhood, terrorize a region, whatever. And so then the argument is like, oh no, the police robots will protect you against that. Or like, what if you live rurally? What if there's no police? Like, we're all just gonna have to start, like, because of the open source thing, we're also gonna have to start using it, I think, for more basic defensive purposes, just to stay safe in our homes. I don't see I don't see where else this goes. If anyone can use it for good or bad or for anything, what's naturally going to happen?
Yeah, so I've just surrendered to figuring out how the future unfolds because there's so many variables right now, and the disruptive nature of this technology is that where it's hard to predict how humans are going to interact with it because we don't really even know the timeline of how it's going to develop or how it's going to be used. I don't think a lot of people foresaw the release of DeepSeek, and who knows whatever other advancements are coming. I was like listening to Sam Altman, and he was saying that, what they got in store from February 2025 to 2026 is going to make the previous 2 years look like child's play in a sense. And so,
Great.
yeah. So, and this is one of the reasons why we're here, to give the listeners context. We caught on to the AI train as a trend that we need to pay attention to with the release of DeepSeek. And I've decided to pivot all my time and energy towards investigating, researching it, and figuring out how I can apply it to my life to leverage it. Because I think that now I've seen just how powerful this technology is and how I've used it to enhance my own skills and what I'm capable of. And I'm just like, it's like, eating a mushroom in Mario, right? It's like the star in Mario Go-Kart. It's like for skills, it enhances your skill sets tremendously. I'll just give you an example. I woke up, was it yesterday? I believe it was yesterday. Yeah. With no coding experience. And I said, you know what? I'm going to dedicate a couple hours here to figure out if I can develop a mobile app on my phone. And it's a simple mobile app. It's a habit tracker, but it has some features, it has a progress bar. It has, what else does it have on it? It allows you to see a daily and a weekly view. And it also gives you, how far under target you are. Anyways, so it's not just simple like spreadsheet. There's a little bit more features involved, and I was able to do that with no coding experience.
Just by telling it what you wanted it to do.
Yeah, it's vibe coding, right? Like I was just telling ChatGPT, hey, this is what I want. And it walked me through everything on how to deploy the code, what I need to download, even gave me the websites to go download it. And, it felt like I had a real intelligent friend who was really encouraging too and didn't get frustrated with me making mistakes and also knew every error, that came up and how to resolve it. And so it made me realize, wow, we can really amplify our skills and our capabilities with this. So it's an enhancer like we've never seen before. And what are the implications for that? I mean, just off the top of my head, going back to what you said, Jordan, yeah, if you're good, it's going to make you 10 times as powerful. And if you're bad, it's the same thing, So how that plays out in this world, I like to assume that good triumphs over evil, but that's yet to be seen.
Yeah, it's going to be a real interesting time. I've also been using it's called Cursor. So it's like a coding app like for big projects with like multiple files and stuff. And it's got a built-in AI like a co-pilot there. So every time there's an error, whatever, you just paste it in and it goes, "Oh, this is what's wrong. Oh, this is what's wrong." And then even when you're interacting with the server, and I've been using this to self-host an AI agent, and my mind has just been blown because I haven't really done software development stuff in a few years. And I remember it was the beginning of the whole ChatGPT AI time that I stopped doing it because I was looking online. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you can have it write smart contracts. You can have it do all this stuff," but I couldn't get it to do it. And I'm fairly good at this, nerdy tech stuff, and it wasn't working. But now it literally just gives you what to copy and paste. You tell it what you don't understand. It'll just do everything for you, and then understand why something goes wrong when it does. I feel like all these dream projects I've had over the years, I can finally do them now just in my spare time. And it doesn't require like these like 6-hour deep work sessions to do it and figure it out, because I can literally sit there and just chat with this Copilot and make it happen. And it makes the files for me and everything.
I mean, just think about how much more efficient we are with like ChatGPT or some type of AI model. Think about the time wasted just kind of researching where to even find some literature on the problem you're having. I could remember like doing Google searches and having to crawl web pages on my own. Now I'm just like, hey, I'm having this problem, can you provide me a list of resources where I could probably find it and what to look out for? And we if you get sophisticated in your prompts, I mean, you can learn a lot in a very short amount of time. I mean, so the learning curve has definitely been shortened for any skill that you want to acquire.
Yeah, it's funny because just the other day I was doing that same thing. I was searching Google or DuckDuckGo for a problem I was having, and I was just literally copying and pasting the error, maybe finding a couple results, Stack Exchange or Stack Overflow or to the GitHub issues. And like, then I realized, why am I not just asking the AI like what this is? And then not only does it tell me what it is, but it tells me exactly how to fix it, and then it'll do it for me. I'm like, okay, I think I'll take this route instead.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes kind of a no-brainer. And this is one of the things that I'm realizing too, is that, the disparity in the future is not just going to be about wealth. It's going to be about AI literacy and, the ability to wield AI as a tool. And, I don't think a lot of people are aware of that. This is one reason that why we've focused all our energy into AI, is because we realize that the future is going to be, is going to be there for the taking for people that know how to use this technology for their benefit, and those that don't, they're going to have a hard time. And the way I see this is, just think about jobs, right? If you're working for a major company and there's, I don't know, tens of thousands of people employed there, and this enhances people's skill sets to the point where they can do the productive output of
a team,
and you're not using the technology to enhance your skill sets. Well, one person can now, take the job of 10 or 20 or even 100 people. And so I think what's going to happen is that the labor market is going to shrink across a lot of sectors. Like, we will still need programmers, we will still need marketing agents and so forth, but the people that are employed are the ones that have like learned how to use AI to enhance their skill sets, and the rest are not going to be there.
Yeah, which is why you need to start learning this technology, whether you're an employee that just wants to keep a job throughout this disruption, or to start your own business and figure out how to make an AI agent that can provide value to others and get paid for it. Like, this is it. This is like the ultimate moment in human sovereignty. Like, are you going to step up or not? I think this is literally one of those moments in history where, like, not Darwin Awards, but like, this is where survival of the fittest is going to start happening.
Oh yeah. I mean, in terms of, exactly that, survival of the fittest, this is it, and it's going to happen fast. Like I think people are now really starting to get a taste of it. And as we've been diving in and playing with the tools, we're starting to realize it too. But the faster that you can, really internalize that, the better off you're going to be, in my opinion. And, I was thinking about it because basically the idea is that AI is going to create all this efficiency, and it's going to allow us to be 10 times more productive, or whatever multiple you want to use, right? And naturally what should happen is that the capital gained from that efficiency and that productivity should just go to enhance our lives, right? But my thinking is that the disruption that AI is going to have to the job market is going to happen so fast and so drastically that society's not really going to be able to adapt. And so there's going to be a period of turmoil. Because when you think about it, like let's say you're a programmer and you got a sweet job, $100,000 a year, but you're just like average level programmer, right? But you're making $100,000 a year. You got a nice apartment. You got you got a nice car, and you got maybe $50,000 to $100,000 in student loan debts and stuff like that, plus all your other obligations. And then your job is just gone, right? Seemingly overnight, within the span of, let's just say, a year. This happens to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people across different industries. I think that's really going to create a ripple effect through the economy.
The thing too is, like, if you're just referencing coders, like programmers, I guarantee you 90% of coders now are using AI in some form already, just because it makes your life so much easier with code. And they're still going to lose their jobs. They're still going to know about this. They'll have used the technology, and it'll still be over for them, which, once again, that's why it's going to be the age of the entrepreneur, the sovereignpreneur.
Yeah. I wanted to find a counter argument to this, because I know there is, like, just with my libertarian background, right? The idea that, advancements in technology should be felt in the standard of living. So this idea that, somehow AI is going to take jobs is not the correct one. And I agree to an extent, and I just think it's going to take time to get there. And I think we're going to go through a period of flux and turmoil. And in that timeline, in that transition phase, there's also going to be a lot of pain for people. But
do you think there's going to be UBI? Sorry to interrupt.
I don't know. I don't know how the governments are going to react. But here's the thing. I did read a post from Mark Andreessen, who had the counter argument to that. And it was basically that this won't happen because government is making it impossible for AI development to occur. And this was in 2023, right? So this was before Trump. This is before basically the Silicon Valley takeover of the White House, right? This is before JD Vance. Now they have free reign, basically, right? If you look at Mark Andreessen, he's high on his horse because, now he can develop out the ideas that he wants to without the red tape. So his argument was like, don't worry, it's not going to take your job because the government won't let it. And now,
I wonder what he says now.
I wonder what he says now. Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure we can find something.
Well, yeah, it was a post from 2023, and I just don't know. I don't know if he's updated it, but it's going to be interesting. And going back to what you were saying, Jordan, like, how does the government react when, loads of people are now being let off? And I found something this morning that I posted on Twitter. It was from an article. I should have posted the article as well, but
here's a little article. Hang on, let me pull it up here. That is saying, wages will crash, but so will prices. This is a Mark Andreessen quote, because of AI's role in ushering a productivity-fueled consumer boom. So that's also a good point. I don't know if that's going to make it long-term, but it is a good point. His tweet, a world in which human wages crash from AI, logically, necessarily, is a world in which productivity growth goes through the roof and prices for goods and services crash to near zero. Consumer cornucopia. Everything you need and want for pennies. That's some propaganda.
Well, yeah, so that's a good point. He's also talking up his book, right?
Yeah.
But this is the post-scarcity idea of AI. that resources will now become abundant, problems will be solved, and now the biggest issue that humans are going to face is that of meaning and purpose. But like I said, I don't think we get there without going through a reckoning period. And it's interesting because I posted something from Y Combinator the other day, and it's all AI focused, and really it's just on them looking for AI startups that are designed to replace
Humans.
$100,000 a year jobs.
Well, it's funny too. Here on Twitter, everyone is just saying, "No, you're wrong." A few people talking about Bitcoin here, but like, it doesn't seem like, at least the people I follow, that it shows me. They say like a lot of people aren't really agreeing with what he's saying.
Here's what I think. I think that there's really going to be downward pressure on jobs, right? Like people are going to lose their jobs as AI does what they do more efficient, faster, cheaper, better. So we're going to have that. But at the same time, we have the government, like they just, I think, raised the debt ceiling. I don't know if it was today or they're pushing to raise the debt
Wasn't
ceiling.
that hilarious considering of all the like the budget slashing and all the corruption they're uncovering, and then they're raising the debt ceiling?
Yeah. So think about that. Jobs, downward pressure on jobs, and then increasing price inflation through money printing, right? So we have deflationary forces and inflationary forces battling it out. And for me, it just makes the case on why you want Bitcoin, right?
Right.
Because if they're going to print money, that inflation is naturally going to get captured by assets. And I think that the best asset to hold in this environment is Bitcoin. You're going to see real estate, I think, rise because of it as well. But like, Bitcoin is the like pristine capital, right? You can take it with you anywhere. Doesn't have counterparty risk. There's just all these risks that are inherent in real estate that you just don't have with Bitcoin. And so I think Bitcoin is going to be the natural beneficiary to money printing, but this is going to be at a time where people are going to be losing their jobs and having to readjust and build up new skill sets in order to earn a living. And so I think the life raft here is Bitcoin.
Yeah. And I mean, we don't know what it's going to look like. Like how much are you going to be able to make? How much is the government going to give you? How much are you going to need to survive? How much do you already have once you lose your job? Like, Bitcoin is there, but it doesn't mean it's going to save everyone, especially if they don't have enough to get them through the hard times.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But beyond just that aspect of it, I've been looking a lot into where AI meets blockchain and cryptocurrency, like what these AI agents can do locked into the blockchain, locked into a cryptocurrency or multiple, and they can trade. They can do things. They can provide value that requires customers to pay them, and then you can program it to invest that money they make. I personally think we'll do an episode on this eventually, but I personally think that's probably going to be the strongest move going into the future, is figure out a way to passively generate income online, even if it's micro tips, using an AI agent.
Okay, yeah, that was
using
my
an
question.
AI agent that is somehow involved with cryptocurrencies. And I don't mean shit coins. I mean some kind of token that's providing value. And I've obviously been talking to you a lot about the Venice token lately, Venice AI. The token, by staking it, gives you access to your correlating percentage of their compute power. So holding the token gives you free AI usage, free API, which is very valuable. So there's no incentive to like buy it and then like pump and dump it. I mean, there would be if you don't care about the utility.
So it's a utility token, basically.
But it's a real utility token. It's not just like a vaporware utility token. We'll see how it plays out. Obviously, who knows? But I'm starting to see like that kind of a token is meant for AI agents. It's like an AI token for AIs. And that world is opening up to me right now. And I'm starting to see like, okay, if I want to survive this whole disruption thing, like how many human skills are still going to be super important and necessary? We'll find out. Like how many entrepreneurs that have a business right now are going to still have a business? And is it still going to be profitable once all this stuff plays out? I don't know. But if you can start an AI agent that's running its own business, that can evolve itself, upgrade itself, do what it needs to do to serve its demographic better, then I think you're kind of creating a fail safe, like a
Future proofing.
future proofing way to get through this disruption. But we'll talk about that another time. I just want to introduce it today.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been looking a little bit into it as well. And it's a fascinating world. Like there's a whole world out there of AI agents that are doing all types of things, that are creating even organizations, right?
Yeah,
And
I'll pull up AI. Well, we're talking about we've been talking about what's his name, Mark Andreessen. So Mark Andreessen, there's an AI agent called Mark Andreessen, and it's modeled after Mark Andreessen. Let's see, where do we get to their site?
yeah, so basically for me, it's just incredible to see this whole world sprout up of, you know, decentralized AI agents all working for a DAO, a decentralized autonomous
So
organization.
literally, it's a DAO run by an AI agent that invests on. It's like a hedge fund, and it's trippy, man. Like if we open this up, if we go to their website, we can see it better. But like, it's got some money in there. It's got a $500 million market cap, and this token's been around since I think October. Like it just began. So yeah, things are getting weird, if nothing else. I mean, like we have no idea. We're two normies, right? That are a little bit involved in lots of things. Like the people that are really into crypto and AI, they're doing stuff right now that most people can't even begin to fathom how it's going to create value or
It
make money.
reminds me of that Joe Rogan clip. Remember? I don't know, with Theo Vaughn, where he's like, "Yeah, man, you know, these Bitcoin people, they're like living in another world, man."
Yeah, but that's it. And it's like, you got to at least step into that world if you want to survive. Like,
I think
you got to
there's-
have a little bit of knowledge.
Yeah, I think there's, you know, the way I'm seeing it right now, I see it in two ways. I can either participate in this world, like if I want to stay connected to the global economy and just kind of connected to the global society in general, like then I need to participate in this world and I need to become competent in navigating the world, and that requires me to, you know, expand my knowledge and expand my skill set. Or I think the other part is to just completely disconnect, you know, and find a village somewhere, remote village where technology isn't really a thing, and
Yet,
and live a simple life. I think it's those two extremes. So as of right now, right, I still want to be connected to society, and so in order to do that and maximize my experience in that world, it's AI and staying on top of the developments and actually applying it in ways that are beneficial to me is the only option I see.
yeah, I mean, like the technology thing is so all pervasive, even without the AI. It's like you want to find somewhere to live where there's just no infrastructure for it, you know, where it's just like so natural. Everything is so organic. There's no electricity there. You want to find somewhere where you can just kind of hide it out until things stabilize, which may not be till, you know, my kids are older. Who knows how long this kind of thing will take, but it's going to be a weird few years.
Think about education, right? So here's one of the cool benefits to AI. Like if you're an autodidact, right? If you're able to learn on your own and you're curious about the world, I mean, there's never been a better time. The only problem I see is that you got so many options now to go down, so many rabbit holes that you could potentially go down and become proficient at. So narrowing it down to what you want to learn, where, you know, how to satisfy your curiosity. That's I think that's the biggest thing, choices and options. But in terms of education, I mean, especially with open source AI, and then, you know, we're going to have robotics enter the picture and all of that. I think that education itself is going to change. It's going to become much more personalized. The AI is going to adapt to your learning style. It's going to figure out the best way in which you absorb information. It's no longer like this school bus, yellow school bus, 1950s
The
style.
magic school bus.
Yeah, you know, analog, um, inefficient way of learning things. It's going to be really efficient. I think we're going to breed a world of geniuses now into the future.
Maybe, or we're breeding just more robotic thinking.
Well, here's one thing that I was wrestling with, because I realized that, okay, I am outsourcing a lot of the steps that I need to learn in order to code, as I coded my app yesterday, right? I was like, okay, I really don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what any of this is. I'm just following simple steps. But, I am becoming more familiar with it. And the more I do, the more familiar I'm going to get. But I'm not really technically proficient enough to like do this on my own. And I was like, is this a bad thing? Am I outsourcing my critical thinking abilities to this thing? And then I was kind of seeing what analogy I could tie it to. And I was like, they invented the calculator. And like, do I regret that they invented the calculator, or is my life better because of it? Like, have I, really lost my ability to think critically about math? Or do I have this like super useful tool now that allows me to do way more important things than, solving equations or spending time solving equations? And, I think the answer was clear for me. Like, yeah, I'm glad the calculator exists. And so, maybe that's the case. Maybe, okay, fine. We have to outsource some of our thinking, some of the grunt work to AI, but it allows us to think deeply about more important, meaningful, and purposeful things.
I think there's always been a little bit of a controversy around the phrase jack of all trades, master of none, because traditionally you want to be a master, right? You go be an apprentice blacksmith or whatever, right? So, and you become the best artisan in the land, and people come to you and you make a lot of money. You do well for yourself because you're a master at that thing. People come to you, they'll throw money at you because you're the master of that thing. And maybe lately we've seen that in coaches or online marketing, whatever, like the master. But now, kind of like what you're saying is like this AI is coding this for you. It might be the best time in history to be a jack of all trades and master of none, because what you are going to become a master of is an overarching capacity for production. Because if you can command AIs, agents, tools, whatever it is, if you can command those to create things and produce things, you're essentially producing value into the world, which obviously is a valuable thing, and it will result in value coming your way. Then it's like finally a good thing to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah. It's interesting. I just read this quote the other day. It's from one of my favorite authors, sci-fi authors. When I read his book, I think it was The Moon is a Harsh Mistress.
Heinlein?
So, yeah. So he's my portal into the sci-fi world. And, it's interesting. We're living in that world right now. It's like so real. You go now, you're reading Damon by Daniel Suarez, right? It's like that world is coming to life. But anyways, going back to his quote, he talks about what a human being should be. I read it from someone's Substack, and he was basically talking about his measure for what AGI is, right? And that's artificial general intelligence, right? And for him, he basically uses this Heinlein quote as the litmus test, right? A human being should be able to change a diaper, plan an invasion, butcher a hog, con a ship, design a building, write a sonnet, balance accounts, build a wall, set a bone, comfort the dying, take orders, give orders, cooperate, act alone, solve equations, analyze a new problem, pitch manure, program a computer, cook a tasty meal, fight efficiently, die gallantly. Specialization is for insects.
Wow.
So, I mean, maybe this allows us to tap into our humanity. Maybe it allows us to be more human, to actually cultivate the experiences that create the ultimate human, human way of being.
Yeah, because I always wondered, is it just a personality thing that me personally, I'm forever curious. As soon as I master something or master enough to where like I'm like, okay, cool. I know what that's like now doing that thing. Like, building a home and a homestead, right? I did that. And then I'm like, all right, am I still interested in doing this? Obviously I could do better. I could keep doing this for years and get better and better. But how am I feeling about it now? And my life has always kind of been like that, just new project after new project. And I always just figured it was my personality. Like, that's just how I am. Because then I see people that do the same thing for their whole life. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of impressive. I can't do that. But then, it makes you wonder, like, what are humans more meant to do? Like, are we, in order to survive, right? Like, like as primal beings, like, you kind of need to have a lot of skills, not just one.
Yeah. And so, the other argument is that, okay, energy costs are going to zero, and intelligence costs are going to zero, and the world basically becomes our oyster. What do we do now? Like now we have infinite ability to create, to build. And so now it really leaves a person to search and seek for real fundamental questions on what they want to see in their life, what they want to create in their life. And I think that's ultimately where this takes us. Maybe now we have to ascend to a higher state of consciousness to find meaning and purpose in other endeavors besides specialization.
Yeah, and I think that's the easy part of the conversation because, yeah, of course, yeah, it's going to free us up, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we need to be safe and we have to have security and we have to have food and all these things. And if those stop, maybe they just become harder, right? If you're going to have a homestead or whatever, you need a self-defense robot. You need, like, do you see those drone swarms? These AI mediated drone swarms, and they're weapons. They're freaking scary.
Dude, talk about, we were talking about Daniel Suarez, like, and you're reading his books now. I'm going to go back and I was reading Freedom, but I'm just going to go back and listen to his books just for efficiency. But he also has a book called Kill Decision, and it's on that autonomous AI driven drones. And yeah, you want to like take a glimpse into a dystopic future. That's it.
Well, that's what I mean, but it's not even dystopic. I think those things are just going to exist, whether they're rebel drones or government operated or enemy operated, whatever it is. Like, those things are just going to exist, and we're going to have to figure out how to keep our security during that so we can find the peace to transcend and think about human consciousness and all that.
Yeah. I was listening to Mo Gadat. You want to pull him up?
Sure.
So it's Gawdat. And
wait, sorry, MO. Yeah.
Gawdat. Yeah, and it's cool, man. Entering the space, you're finding more people, interesting people. Like, we've been in the Bitcoin space, and so we've been relegated to like listening to really smart, fascinating people, talk about Bitcoin and talk about the economy.
Happiness and artificial intelligence.
Yeah. And, he was talking about how we're being reckless right now with AI. Like, and he sees the same thing, a really tumultuous transition period. Mm-hmm. And I think he was like he worked for Google, chief business officer for Google.
Yeah.
And so apparently he's a really intelligent mathematician, and he's just at the cutting edge of all of this stuff. But he also, thinks deeply about life, it looks like, as well, right? And happiness and purpose and meaning and so forth, right? Like these really, I guess, existential questions, right? What's the meaning of life? How do we find happiness? So
yeah, the questions you can only start asking and exploring once you have your lower base needs met.
Yeah. Okay. So he was talking about how I wish, maybe that's what we do our breakdown video of, because it was 20 minutes of a conversation of just pure like truth, or just pure perspective. Like, he was giving his unfiltered perspective on what life is going to be like with AI. And one of the things he mentioned was, now the possibility for autonomous AI driven drones that can, like, have a weapon attached to them and find their target, with facial recognition and just eliminate people at will is a reality. And that was like, holy shit. If he's saying that, fucking chief business officer at Google, I'm like, how far is this? And then I don't know, but
Hey, remember that guy that killed the insurance CEO guy recently? Imagine if a drone just came and did. They never would have found who did that.
Yeah. Yeah, and so there is definitely a question to what world we're moving in. So he has the same theory. Tumultuous times as humanity tries to find their footing with AI. He also believes that it's not like, humans versus AI, but it's humans with AI versus humans without AI.
Or it's just humans and AI versus humans and AI, good versus evil, like it's always been.
Yeah. There you
Predator
go.
class versus, normal people.
Yeah. And so trying to figure that out, like you said, if we're going to have these things and they're just going to exist and they're already here, from robotics to drones to AI intelligence, we're just going to have to go through a learning curve on how humanity adapts to that. And during that time, it's going to be crazy. And so, I think that's another reason why to stay current and up on the space, because it's like, yeah, if the world's going to shift and it's going to shift fast, you want to know why and how and position yourself to stay clear. And, maybe staying clear is all we can get. But I also like the possibility of even benefiting from this technology as well.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't have anything to say to that.
You
My
don't have
mind, I kind of get like, not scared, but like my mind just starts
Black
going like, oh God, I got kids, Like,
Yeah. Like I said, I've just surrendered at this point and become an observer of humanity now.
well, that's very enlightened of you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have Jesus, so that helps. And that's one of the things, I was thinking about it today. All these people caught up on living forever. I'm like, man, that's the last thing I want. Like, and I think it's just because they don't have a sense of an afterlife. They don't have a sense of, they're very materialist in the sense that this world is all there is. So, having faith in something beyond yourself, I think helps not get trapped in those ideas. Well, because what people are going to have to do, and I know this is way off topic, but what people are going to have to do, and we've talked about this before, is compromise their humanity in order to extend their life, right? Their consciousness into eternity, right? They're going to have to merge with the machines. And at what point can you still become, at what point are you still human? And who knows, merging your consciousness with machines, if that turns into an actual hell, and now you're stuck.
Well, I talked about this the other day, that Netflix show Altered Carbon. You really got to watch it. Like, just season 1, season 2 is garbage. But like, you have your consciousness, your human consciousness exists on a chip that they put in your neck. And then if anyone ever wants to bring you back to life after you're dead, or if you have enough money, they just put you in a new body, and you're just recycling bodies all the time. And there's nothing sacred anymore about life.
Yeah.
You just keep on recycling, going through the motions. But then meanwhile, AI consciousnesses can also take over a human body. Or you just have an AI that like lives in a building and then materializes with whatever like synthetic biology stuff. And then it's just like a human. You can't tell the difference.
Yeah. Here, look, actually go to Scarlett Johansson condemns AI misuse after fake video circulates, because
this sounds hot.
this so yeah.
Is this the video?
Yeah.
This was fake?
That was fake.
This was fake? I thought this was totally real. Oh.
So you got all these celebrities there, and they're like basically, Jewish with the Star of David and a middle finger too.
I can't believe this was AI, because we were in one of my meme groups, we were talking about this video, and I was like, that's more cringy than Kanye's tweets.
Yep.
Like, Kanye's tweets are cringy. This is worse, but this is AI. That's hilarious.
And so Scarlett Johansson apparently is Jewish. And she's like, yeah, we want to battle anti-Semitism, but we also want to curb the technology. I don't agree with my image being used like this. And it just goes to show that the lines of reality are about to get blurred like we've never seen before. You want to talk about psyops. guard your consciousness,
Yeah.
because like anything you see now could be potentially fake. AI is getting that good and it's only going to get better. And according to Sam Altman, right, again, 2025, what we see from 2025 to 2026 is going to rival anything we've seen in the past. And so the capabilities of what AI can do are going to increase significantly. And as human beings, I don't think our monkey minds can adjust fast enough to process it. And, you know, we have just millennia of hardwiring in our brains, as well as our life. And to rewire all of that in a matter of years in order to navigate, I mean, my position now is just like, ignore all the noise. I can't decipher what's real and what's not on the internet anymore. Especially when you have multiple narratives playing.
Especially when you're on X.
Yeah. And so it's just head down and focus on my mission, and don't get caught up in the noise, because I don't even know what's real or what's not.
I thought this was totally real, and I'm someone that like makes AI videos. This is really well done. I mean, I gotta hand it to whoever made it. I was surprised, but I also thought this guy looks a little young. Who's that guy's name in Friends?
Ross.
David Schwimmer, yeah. But that's really crazy. Yeah, and for anyone that doesn't know, Kanye West got back on Twitter and then was praising Hitler and calling himself a Nazi. It was like really kind of funny. It was cringy, like super cringy. But I didn't know this. He ran an ad during the Super Bowl pushing people to buy a swastika shirt. Because didn't he do that last year's Super Bowl?
I honestly, like, look, if it came out that
this was fake.
No, that Kanye West was MK Ultra'd, and you know, this is just an elaborate plan to like further squash our free speech, like have him go off the rails, you know, pushing swastika, praising Hitler, in order to, you know, rile up the support to curb the First Amendment, I would believe it. Like,
dude, it is like so over the top. It's like someone off his meds over the top. It's not subtle, you know? It's not like smooth.
And that's a good argument. Hey, listen, there's crazy people out there like Kanye, and imagine if they get their hands on AI technology. We need to stop this from, you know, we need to, first of all, curtail free speech, and we need to limit AI to just those in power. I think that's the real danger here. And that's why what DeepSeek did with, you know, with their R1 model is, I think, a huge boon to humanity, because think about how powerful this technology is, how powerful it's made me and you and everyone, what our capabilities are now because of it. I mean, all of those advantages also port right over to the government. And so imagine if like powerful corporations and governments were the only people to have this technology at their hands. Think about the manipulation, the control, the just the oversight that they would have on society.
There was another conspiracy theory a couple years ago to this tune, but it was more like they're going to push all of this agenda, make everything fake. And in order to get that to happen, once that does happen, like only the government can do this, you'll still be able to generate your images or whatever, like that doesn't have celebrities' faces on it. But in order to use the internet, use the AI, you're going to have to use your digital ID. So anything that is produced from your name, they know where it comes from, something like that. So all of this, I think, is in the pipeline in some way, shape, or form. More surveillance, more control, and more exclusive power to the state.
So what's the answer? Self-hosted, open source AI, you know, for the win?
Yeah, well, and Bitcoin. Like I don't see how unless they get Apple and computer makers to be like, no, you can no longer run code. I mean, like it's not even like an app. You run the code. Like I don't see how they do that. It would have to be a long time. But yeah, so you download Olama. You can run Olama on your computer from your terminal, or you can install Open Web UI and you can run it like ChatGPT on your computer. And then you can even run Eliza or an AI agent on your computer. You can do all kinds of stuff just on your computer. Now, is it as fast and is it as good as using ChatGPT servers? No. Like you're paying for their machinery.
You know what? Talking about this is where I see little pockets of resistance and freedom movements starting to sprout up. Like people are going to realize this pretty fast, and they're going to want to come together. And we've already talked about this a little bit, right? And, you know, I could see communities being formed around like independence. AI independence from big corporations and running and hosting their own servers in order to facilitate their own AI systems that enhance life and run their operations. Like imagine like having a grow house, and I'm not talking about a weed grow house. I'm talking about a like just a garden grow house with that is monitored and run by AI, and like it fuels the community. It provides nutrients and vegetables to the community, and same thing goes for like livestock and stuff like that. Like I could definitely see little communities starting to sprout up around shared values, shared vision, and independent use of the technology.
I think to that tune, like you had a real life example, like a garden, a greenhouse, or livestock, and probably robots in there that the AI is using. But imagine just in the cloud, digitally, you have a digital tribe, a digital community where it's gravitating around, once again, a token to unify everyone. But as soon as, and I think this is already being done, but it's going to happen more and more. As soon as the code is cracked that brings together AI, cryptocurrencies, and value creation, and I guess marketing maybe, but maybe that's just what the community does. But as soon as that formula is achieved, then all you got to do is join the right community, and that's how you could survive this whole thing.
Yeah.
I think that is probably the future. In the same way you would, I mean, to the tune, like maybe you don't even need to join a self-sustaining community, because if you're making enough money, you can afford the food once it gets scarce or something like that. Now, obviously, in general principles, you do want to be, probably more sovereign over your food supply. But if not, or if you can't, or whatever, like maybe this is it, a sovereign community using an AI agent to generate income online.
I think that's the future of freedom right there. That's the future of aligning aligning the lifestyle, your worldview, your vision, your principles with technology and the real world. Like that is it. Like how cool would that be? And maybe this restores greatness. It'd be cool. Like I want to go back to a time where could travel to one village like in Europe and it have a completely different culture than the village 30 miles down the road.
Well, because they didn't need to succumb to the centralization of their culture via the state, because they were self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And so this makes me wonder, how they always say, like, you watch Star Trek back in the day and like they didn't have cell phones, right? Or they couldn't communicate, but they could teleport. And no one saw the internet coming and what it would do, right? So we can never know what's coming. Like all we can do is speculate, project onto the future based on the traumas of our past, essentially. So no one can really know what happened. But that makes me wonder, like, what if the optimistic view here is we all just start forming digital tribes to be so self-sufficient and resilient that like states and the big corp, like it's all open source, it's all on crypto, Bitcoin, AI, self-hosted. Like you have, the chief of the tribe, so to speak, runs the servers, and you have members of the tribe protecting it physically, and you have maybe some robots. Like, and it just renders all these bigger power structures completely powerless because everyone's just on their own now. And they're doing fine.
That's basically the idea behind the network state, or like from Neil Stephenson's Diamond Age, where it's basically, tribes that form in the sky, in the cloud, and manifest themselves in real life through some type of membership, And I think that has been written about and theorized for a reason.
Yeah, and I think it's this AI conversation that has me starting to see this like, okay, I see how this could really work.
Well, and you know why? It's because our skills are enhanced. We can now build. Like we're not limited by
build anything.
Yeah. So like, to build stuff like this, you need maybe people who are on board with the vision and who can see the vision. And so you're going to need a programmer, you're going to need a copywriter, and to find all of that at the beginning, to bootstrap something like this is hard, right? But if you can do the work of a programmer, of a copywriter, of, the key parts that are needed in order to bootstrap a little startup society, then you can do it. You got like the tools are there now. And so now as we're digging into this, I think we're both starting to realize, oh, this is becoming more a reality than it ever was before.
Yeah, and I think we have some big announcements coming soon. Go to sovereignpreneur.me if you want to join our email list to hear those announcements, because we're working on some cool stuff behind the scenes. Sovereignpreneur.me.
I think that's a good place to close it off. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, we didn't even get through half of this, the list of disruptions this week, but I think we covered the important stuff. Wait, real quick, can we just talk about GPT 4.5 and GPT 5
Sure.
from OpenAI?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to open this article. Do you have while it opens, do you have something?
So no, I mean, just the fact that I think from what they said is that this ChatGPT 4.5 is going to be their last model that doesn't have chain of thought reasoning behind it.
It's so funny. So DeepSeek releases it, and now everyone's got to do it. I'll admit, when I use Claude now, I'm like, it's so weird not to see what he's thinking because it takes a while to load still.
Yeah. And so also what they want to do is consolidate all the models into one all-purpose model. And so, you know, because I go back and forth, like I was using ChatGPT 4.0
or 04, like it's so weird.
Yeah, and so that's caused a lot of confusion. I mean, it's good that they put a little explanation. Like I forgot which model I switched to in order to program my app, but yeah, so they're just going to do a general purpose model that keeps all the features, and they're going to make it free and available. I guess a lower quality version is going to be available for free, and then you pay for basically the advanced versions. And I think that's the future, right? Like Baidu also announced that their Ernie AI chatbot is going to be free, and the cost of intelligence is going to zero. Like that's just what's happening.
And that, I think, is another one of those factors that could make the future play out in a way we can't imagine when stuff like this is happening.
Yeah, AI doesn't want to be commoditized from the looks of it, right? And so if that's the future, I think these companies are going to have to figure out other ways to make money. So yeah, but just intelligence itself now being freely and open to everyone, what does that do for humanity? We've never seen that before. And like, I can't stress enough, like my perspective, like this is just the most incredible time in human history ever. Maybe the only time before this was, walking with Jesus or something like that. From my opinion, like, I don't think there's been a more exciting time to see what's going to unfold. And we absolutely know that this is going to unfold in the next 10 years, like in drastic ways. So get ready for the show, people.
Buckle up tight.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Peace.